this is Pete, or Kenshin1913, along with...
Mom.
And this is another Cooking with Kenshin1913. What are we going to be making today?
We're making beef soup, or vegetable soup.
It's something good for when you're snowed in.
Yes. Okay, here we are for our ingredients to the soup. The main ingredient, of course, is your beef, and you can see we're using a beef shank bone, and you'll always be able to tell that because it has that round marrow bone with some meat around it. Sometimes you'll see the bone really big with a little bit less meat around it. That's fine. Usually I use two of the pieces, and water goes in that to make the stock. Then we have onion, celery, carrots, potatoes, tomato sauce. I put barley in mine as well, but you don't have to if you don't like barley. And then we're actually going to be using alphabet pasta to put in there. So it's like, you know, an alphabet soup. And I also have 10 ounces of frozen mixed vegetables, just to add a little bit more of the vegetables in there. You could also add spinach, chopped spinach. You can also put in chopped kale or escarole if you prefer that, and that's all an option.
Okay, so let's start the soup.
Okay. Okay, this is a 10-quart stock pot. So you want something that's going to be tall because you're going to be putting water and adding more things to it, and then it has to boil. Yeah. Now if you don't have a 10-quart stock pot, what could you use? Like, you can use a lower pot. You're just going to have to use less water. You're just going to have to use less water and less of the different ingredients. Yeah. But remember, you're going to think that this is pretty big. But this is going to be enough for a couple of servings, a couple days. Yeah, or you could even freeze it in small containers and take out what you want a little at a time. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put the beef in our pot, just on the bottom. And this happens to be an 8-quart 8 cups of water. 8 cups of water. And I'm splashing it all over. So I'm going to get some more because we're going to go to about half of the pan. And I don't want to go any further than that until afterwards, because as we keep adding all of our ingredients in here, it's going to, you know, the liquid's going to rise. So right now we're making our own broth. We're making our own stock. And so I'm going to turn this on, let it start to get hot, and it will come to a boil. And I'm going to add the extra water. Yeah. Now we're pouring in the rest of the water. Again, if you don't have this big enough, what do you call this again? Stock pot. Stock pot. Don't worry, you can use a smaller one. You just have to. You have to cut the ingredients in appropriate, like we're using 16 cups of water here, so you would have to, like, let's say you only had like a 5-quart pan or something, you'd obviously only use 8 cups of water, but then you could still use this same amount of beef and probably the vegetables and celery and whatnot, but you would have to cut like other stuff down a little bit. Yeah, because what will happen is then you'll get a real nice thick soup. So here we are. So we're just going to let that come to a boil. Right. Yeah, and in the meantime, we're going to be cutting up all of our vegetables to get those ready to put inside. Yeah. Because all of it's going to cook together, so the meat doesn't have to be cooked right away. Yeah. So let's do that. Okay, here we are. We're going to rinse off and clean our vegetables. We've got our potatoes, carrots, celery, and the onions on the bottom. Just going to use some cool water. Yeah. And what you're going to do is you're going to rub your potatoes. Because some potatoes are more sandy than others. Yeah, that's why I was going to add. This is why I want to show this, because you know what? When I originally started washing potatoes, I didn't know when they were clean. Yeah, and potatoes are rough anyway, so, you know, you just have to make sure that you're getting all, and you don't see any kind of dirt. These happen to be pretty clean. Yeah. But sometimes I've gotten them where there's lots of sand on them. Yeah, so I just want to... So you get in all the crevices. Yeah, because some people, you know... I like them baked, so you want to make sure that they're all
clean because I eat the skin.
Yeah, and if they're dirty, you don't want to eat the dirt.
Right.
I mean, but God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. But that, still. So, yeah, you just kind of rinse them off. Now, what did you do with the potato there? If you saw a mark you didn't like, you kind of
I kind of scraped it a little bit,
and,
with my
you know,
finger.
celery is fairly easy to clean, too. And carrots, I mean, everything's fairly easy. But like I said, I wanted to show it because, like, I don't know. If you're,
my onions was already peeled, so I'm just rinsing it off.
If you're making, you know, something for the first time, you want to know how to do it right. So I figured we should at least show how to wash.
So I'm putting them back in my little bucket, and we'll take them over to the other side again to peel them up. Okay, here we are. We washed our potatoes and our carrots and celery, and we're going to peel everything up.
Yeah, because you can't use the carrots like that.
Yeah, because it's got a little bit of skin on.
Yeah, and you don't want
it wouldn't be harmful, but and the same thing with the potatoes. Some people would like that. You want more roughage on it, then it would be fine. You just have to clean like where near the eyes are, and you could actually use it with the skin.
I believe before we were rudely interrupted, although you won't see it, you were talking about this little chopper here, right?
Yeah, I have this little chopper that I've been using for years.
It's like a food processor,
it's like a tiny little food processor. And I put I'll show you, and I cut my vegetables, put them in there, and give them a quick grind. Because before that, I would always cut my vegetables to about this size.
Yeah, very small.
Very small. And that's time consuming. And then once I started using my chopper, it'll chop it in 5 minutes. I put it into the soup, and then I've not wasted extra time. But if you don't have a little chopper, it'll just take a little extra time to chop everything up. So I'm going to start to peel.
So how do you let's go over the basics of how to peel a potato or peel a carrot. Because some people don't know how to do it.
Well, you have to get an actual peeler. It doesn't have to look like this one. Some of them just have a straight handle. Yeah. But it'll have this part here that peels the skin back. So some people, I peel towards me.
Some people, well, actually, I don't think you're supposed to.
Some people have the one that they peel away from them.
Yeah. You know, my mom, she's pretty much a pro with doing this, so she can peel like this and not be afraid of cutting herself. But if you're doing this for the first time, definitely be very careful. That's one thing.
And if you don't have one of these, you can actually even take a paring knife, which is a small knife, okay, and you can go very closely,
very slowly, you don't want no rough whoosh, movements, you know what I mean?
Okay,
just
so for a potato, you can actually do that. It's a little bit more difficult if you wanted to try that on a carrot, because then you're going to be taking too much away from it.
Yeah, see,
you really do have to. That one of the things that in your pantry has to be a vegetable peeler.
Yeah. So let's finish this.
And they're pretty inexpensive. These items are not anything that costs a lot of money.
Yeah. And this is why I like this recipe, is because a lot of people can be very intimidated with making their own soup, but it's actually very, very easy. Let's peel a carrot, and then we can just peel the rest of it. So yeah, well, you just kind of want to take
again, I'm just going down. You're just taking that outer little skin off.
Yeah. So some people are in what the hell was I saying? Some people are intimidated by making your own soup, but it's actually very easy to do.
Yeah, and very healthy. You're not getting all that sodium in it.
Salt, nothing.
Everything is fresh.
Yeah, so you want to cut off the tips here.
The tips. Yeah. And so my celery, again, when you pull it off, you just want to cut the end, okay? And then I cut the tops.
Yeah.
You could use the greens at the top. Yeah. Which are fine, and then we'll chop that up too.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna finish peeling everything, and I'm gonna show you how I chop it up.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's look at the soup really quick.
Yep.
It's
actually been boiling for about 20 minutes now.
Now you see this. Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
As you can see, that made foam, and that will go away. That's just from the boiling, and you can see that it's turning a little bit brown because the meat's cooking.
Yes.
Now, what I end up doing is I put in. I'm going to lower this a little, and
bay leaf or something.
No, I'm going to put the tomato sauce, and that's that that pinky color that you see when you have a vegetable soup. It's not a lot of tomato. It's just a little bit that gives you that little bit of a reddish brown color. Okay, so this was an 8-ounce can of just tomato sauce. Okay, so that's gonna go right in there.
And that'll give this
it just gives it a little tint of a pinky color. I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah. Well, no, yeah, you can.
And that's all. So that goes in there.
So we're just gonna let this keep boiling a little bit.
Yep, and then we're gonna throw our vegetables in. They cook for you know, a little bit until they're nice and soft, and then you're gonna have some homemade soup. Okay, here we are. All of our vegetables are done. I re-washed my potatoes because they get a little, you know, grimy when you're cutting them. And I've got all my peelings, and we actually recycle. So we have a little compost area in the back of our yard. So I put these in a little container, and then my husband will go and put them in the compost.
Yeah. So
we're being earth friendly too.
So we're not just chucking this stuff out. We're actually recycling it. So one thing that I wanted to talk about, you can throw that out while I can talk. One thing I wanted to talk about actually is what something, a little cooking knowledge here, in case you guys and gals or whoever is really watching it, in case you didn't know, actually they call carrots, celery, and onions, they call it in French a mirepoix, which is a I guess it's like a basic starter to a lot of soups and sauces, right? Sometimes they usually use a mirepoix, right, Ma? Now, Ma didn't study in the French Culinary Institute.
The soup
It was looking pretty good. It's getting all red, and that stuff that's coming to the top. That's, what did you call it? You call it bubbles or foam or whatnot, but
foam from the meat.
Yeah, it's like a foam from the meat. Now you don't have. It's not like foam like styrofoam, but it's just, you know. But anyways, it's kind of like. It's kind of like fat, right?
Yeah, and so as you can see, I lowered it, so it's not boiling at a rapid pace. So I'll have it kind of like on a medium.
Yeah. So let's.
Now, and then we're gonna cut our vegetables.
Yeah, let's cut these veggies.
Okay. So what we're gonna do.
And now, if you don't have this little food processor or chopper or whatever, obviously you'll have to cut it much smaller. But
So here's I'm gonna show you a little bit of cutting if you don't have a chopper, because it's nothing really hard. It's just, as I mentioned, just a little bit more time consuming. And
yeah, so as I said, this is a mirepoix, and my mom, she didn't go to the French Culinary Institute, you know, but she knows how to cook.
Okay, so see, if you had to put it in the soup, but whole, you would cut it about that size. If you like them bigger pieces in your soup, it's all a part of taste.
Yeah.
And because I know some people who take, you know, the little baby carrots, and they just put the whole bag in.
Yeah, you could use that.
So you can actually do that because they like bigger vegetables in their soup.
So yeah, in this part you gotta be very careful, obviously, since you're using a knife.
You could actually take a different kind of knife and, you know, chop them as well. So that's up to you. Yeah, this is just the way I end up doing it.
Yeah, so you could kind of put them in just like that, but my mom, we're gonna chop them up. So let's do one if we're throwing it in the slicer. You kind of.
Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you how this works. But then we're going to shut the camera off because it makes a heck of a noise.
Well, I'll just lower the audio.
Okay, so there's a blade in it. It goes on.
It really is a small food processor, so you just got to make sure to cut it up into manageable chunks here and throw them in there.
So I usually cut a little bit of everything.
Yeah, now Ma, do you usually, with your soups, I've noticed that, at least when I watch fancy schmancy cooking shows, that when people usually do their soup, they actually put it in like a food processor afterwards to get it like thicker. Do you ever do that?
No, I don't do that.
No.
That would be more of a puree soup. I don't
This is like heartier.
This is a hearty soup.
Right.
And one of the things that you can start with this kind of a soup is even to do a minestrone.
Yeah.
So people could put chopped up tomatoes or stewed tomatoes in it. You could put beans in it. So this is kind of the base of it, and we're making just a traditional vegetable alphabet vegetable soup.
Yeah.
But this is the base of it, and then you could add anything to this that you wanted.
So let's give it a go. Oh, you're gonna even try putting a carrot.
I usually put a little bit of everything in it. Okay, you don't want to overstuff it.
All right, now this is gonna get loud.
Okay, so you're ready, right? So what we do is we gave it a couple of, spins around, and as you can see, I'll take some out. You've got some smaller pieces, okay? And then I'm just gonna dump that into our soup. Now we always have a laugh around here because it always seems that when I'm cutting this up, there always seems to be like one potato that doesn't get chopped, and then when we're serving it, we'll always say, okay, who won the prize? Who got the large potato in their dish?
So is this a point where you would want to put the frozen vegetables in there too?
Yes, we'll put the frozen vegetables.
So this is a very hearty soup. You're getting a lot of vegetables.
Yeah, it's a vegetable soup. That's what it is.
Well, it's not. See, we were discussing this earlier, but this isn't really truly vegetable because you're using beef as a base instead of like a vegetable stock. So we're just gonna finish chopping up the things, and then we'll be back with dumping everything in. All right, as you can see, we have ourselves. We put all the vegetables in, and it's boiling away. But as you can see, the water has risen quite a bit because we've been putting more and more things in it. So now, what are we going to do? We're just going to let this come to a boil?
We're going to let it, I'm going to put a little salt and pepper in it. We're going to let this come to a boil. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're going to add our barley. Barley we put in first before our pasta because it's a little denser, and so it takes longer to cook.
Well, we're going to show all this. I mean, how long does
One of the things also that I wanted to mention with making the stock is we usually use things that have a bone because they make stuff more flavorful. So if you just took a piece of meat and threw it in here and started it, it probably would taste good, but not quite as flavorful because that bone really gives, even when you're doing chicken soup, it's always good to use some type of a chicken that's still on the bone because that bone really gives it that extra flavor.
Now let's talk about while we're letting this boil, let's talk about what is it? Let's say you obviously, if you're a family of let's say 4, or even 2, you're not eating all this. So Ma, what do you usually do?
Well, I put it in the refrigerator. Usually, like, we'll have it for one meal, and then a few days later we might have it again. And if there's any left over, sometimes I'll freeze it, or we're just using it up until it's all gone.
Yeah, but like, you see how there's like quote unquote foam or the fat on the top? Like when you reheat it.
Right. When you put this in the refrigerator, you're going to see with any kind of item or food that has oil in it or fat in it, that's going to come to the top of the pan. So what will happen is that when I put this in the refrigerator overnight, you're going to see that there's going to be a skim of fat on top. Almost looks like ice.
No, if you don't want that.
If you don't want that, you can skim that off. You can do that both with the chicken soup or the vegetable soup. But that's just the little bit of excess fat that has come from the meat.
Yeah, I mean, you can take, like, you know, if you want a little leaner, you can definitely take it all off. If you want to keep a little bit of it, You could totally keep like half of it on, but usually we like.
And then that once you're warming the soup up, that incorporates it. It melts down and incorporates itself back in.
But yeah, let's put a little bit of salt.
Now I'm gonna do a little salt.
Not too much. Although we do have a lot of water here, which is now not water, it's stock. There's a soup right here. So this soup is very easy to make. Alright, and what I like about this is that you control how much salt is in. You control the flavors, the seasonings, what you want in there. Like, what are some other options if you didn't want to put...
Oh, you could make little meatballs.
Yeah, you could put mini meatballs in there.
Put them in. I know one of your co-workers wanted the recipe for the Italian wedding soup.
Yeah, we might show that.
So that will be a chicken stock. And you don't put as many vegetables in that, but you put the little tiny meatballs in it, and then you can put some spinach in it. Or, I mean, you could do, in chicken soup, you could do egg drop soup. There's a million different things that you can do.
Definitely test, you know, make this recipe. Well, I mean, you don't have to. You know, watch the recipe, you know, try it out, and then the next time you make it your own. You know, add your own spin to it. Like we were saying, you can put spinach, kale.
Yep. When I do minestrone, I put
tomatoes,
zucchini in it.
beans,
I put tomatoes in it. I put beans in it. But this is the starter.
The basic, yeah. This is the basic thing. So now that it's boiling, you want to throw in the barley.
Yep, we'll throw in the barley.
And then how long you let that cook for?
The barley has to cook for a good hour.
And then you would throw in the
And then so this is a couple of hours process as far as letting it cook, because you want all the flavors to marinate with each other, cook down,
now,
and all the vegetables have to cook.
You don't have to put it in there.
You don't have to put it in. Some people just like a barley soup, so they'll put extra barley in, and that's more of their thickener instead of putting any pasta in, and that's fine too.
Yeah. And so you can put, if you want to, rice, huh?
You can, but the trick of that is you have to cook your rice ahead of time, because if you throw it in your pot, it's going to absorb lots of your juice. It's gonna absorb some of it anyway. But what you would do is you would cook your rice separately and then put it into the into the soup afterwards.
So yeah, soup can be super versatile, and we'll be back and we'll throw in the.
I mean, can you imagine this on a cold winter's day?
On a blizzard.
Have a
when
nice,
you're stuck inside for
a nice
days.
Soup, a grilled cheese sandwich, or a
Go.
salad.
There you
and
go.
You got a great lunch or supper.
Oh yeah.
And this here, you can, as I said, you can, usually it doesn't stick anything to the bottom, so you can be doing other things and then just come back every once in a while and give it a quick stir. So if you keep it on a medium high, a medium, until, you don't want it to boil any faster than this. Okay, and I don't put a cover on it.
Alright, so then we'll be back throwing the macaroni.
Okay, here we are back at our almost finished soup, and I want to show.
As you can see, it boiled down quite a bit.
See where it was here?
Yeah.
And it boiled down probably a good 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
And everything is cooked, and this is the barley that was in there. And as you can see, all the vegetables are cooked.
Now, what do you do with that meat? Do you break that up?
Now, I usually take the meat out. And some people like it inside the soup, and you can cut it in small little pieces and put it in there. But my husband actually likes it. You cut it up and you mix it with a little bit of oil and vinegar and red onion, and it's just called like a little meat salad.
Yeah.
This is a 1 cup of alphabet pasta, and we're gonna just put it in.
Yeah, like you used to have back in the day, alphabet soup.
Yes.
You know, yum. Just like it.
Gonna mix it around.
So that'll probably take what, about?
And then what I do is let that cook for about 10 minutes and then turn it off.
Yeah.
Because the hotness of the soup will finish cooking the pasta by itself. And it won't get too mushy.
Yeah. So we'll be back and we will actually give it a go and try it out.
Yep. And then the good thing about this too is if it cooks down too much, and you don't want it quite as thick, you could always add just a little bit more liquid to, you know, to increase the volume.
All right.
So we'll be back. Okay, here we are, finished product. Here's the soup. See, nice and hearty.
Yum.
Nice and hot. You
Looks
can tell.
good.
See, the bone is still in there. If you had a dog, they love those bones.
Yeah.
To chew on the knuckle bone.
You give them the old soup bone.
Yep.
And it looks like I'm gonna get a prize there.
Yep, you're getting the potato.
Yeah, it looks like I already got the big
and
potato.
A piece of celery.
So look at that soup, huh? Come on, throw the rest in there, ma'am. There we go.
Now you can put a little bit of cheese on top if you like,
oyster crackers.
Cheese, or oyster crackers you have to the side. Make yourself a nice sandwich.
Yeah, it looks good.
And that's a hearty vegetable soup, all natural.
So yes, this is the soup. I really can't turn it, but yeah, but you can see. And let's give it a go. Put a couple of oyster crackers on there. Now I know my ABCs, by the way. This is going to be delicious. This brings me back to childhood. Look, I got a big carrot. We got to blow on it. It's hot. Hot. Holy moly. Mmm. That's good. You get the beef flavor. You get all the vegetables, so it's good for you. And, you know, again, you know, you regulate the amount of stuff that you want in it. You know what I mean? That's why I love this soup. Let's see if I can find that potato. No. This is as big as I'm getting. I didn't win the prize this time, but this has been another Cooking with Kenshin1913. I've been Pete, or Kenshin1913, and this has been
Mom.
And this has been another Cooking with Kenshin1913.
Enjoy and happy eating.